It's great to see everybody, and I know you have nothing better to do with the nice weather that we're having. Can't be out golfing. And so we just want to take this time tonight to recognize and honor some of Fort Recovery's truly outstanding citizens. The mission of the Fort Recovery Chamber of Commerce is to promote the quality of life in the village of Fort Recovery by working to maintain and improve its business community through communication, interaction, and support. Tonight, the Chamber will honor those citizens who make it easy for us to carry out this mission statement. I am Dr. Scott Jutte, and I'm the current president of the Chamber. Our vice president this year is Joe Fowler. Joe, you want to stand up? Good to see him next year. Our secretary is Janet McCain. I don't see her here yet. Our treasurer is Janice Feely. And at this time, I will ask Father Paul Woolen to deliver the invocation and the blessing before dinner.
Let us pray. Lord, we acknowledge your presence with us this evening as we gather to honor those who have served the community in various ways. You have proclaimed a reward for those who serve others. Whatever you do for the least of my brothers or sisters, you did it for me. We ask your blessing upon all those who devote their time and talent for the benefit of others and provide inspiration and leadership in our community. Bless now the food prepared for our enjoyment and nourishment, so that we may continue to serve you, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
We'll start dinner with the head table, of course.
Alrighty, well, thank you everyone for coming. I think every year the tables are getting larger and larger and the crowds are getting bigger and bigger, and I think that's fantastic. First thing I'd like to do is start off tonight, of course, with thank yous. I'd like to thank the cooks, Mary Evers, Dorothy Seaframe, and Mary Ann Weitzel for making the pies. It's on that. Alrighty, and also thank yous. I'm going to mention those that did donate to centerpieces: the Hine Insurance Agency, Frankie Myring Agency, Second National Bank, Citizens Commercial Bank, Mercer Savings Bank, Forget Me Not Florist, Cal Pharmacy, Fort Recovery Equity Exchange, Fort Recovery Equipment Company, Whole Brothers, Hastings Auto Sales, Golden Ford IGA, Hemmelgarn Shoes, Fort Recovery Chiropractic, Brockman's Incorporated, and the Wendell Poultry Service. Let's have a round of applause for those companies. Thank you, Brockman and Beckman Funeral Home, for donating the placemats. Keep the tables clean. All right, and of course, who can forget Cooper Farms for donating the turkey? It would not be a meal without the turkey. Thank you very much, Cooper Farms. All righty, well, we have a sundry important guests with us tonight, and I would like to start off as well by introducing those. If you would please briefly stand as I announce your name. From the Ohio 12th District, Senator Robert Cupp. From U.S. Representative John Boehner's office, Bill Wolke. Mercer County Commissioner Jerry Lappin. A new fellow to the town here, Chief of Police Jeff Gray. The illustrious Fort Recovery Mayor John Wald. And a former mayor of Fort Recovery, Nell Franklin. All right. Well, I'm going to actually bring Scott back at this point. We're going to have him do an award tune presentation and the Chamber of Commerce scholarship winners.
Thanks a lot, Ed. We kind of have a new award this year. We had a special person in our community that went way above their duties, and as we kind of came up with a new award. We're going to call it the Award of Achievement for this year. And to introduce this winner, I'm going to announce School Board Member Jack Stogler.
Scott. It is my honor to stand here and introduce somebody that has probably been as awarded and as honored as anybody in this place. She's a former Hall of Fame member. She is a former Citizen of the Year. And she had such an outstanding 1996 that they thought we've got to do something. Now, my first memory of this lady is as kind of a stuttering backwards third grade. That was me. And she was my teacher. And she has got to be thinking right now, couldn't you have gotten a younger student to stand up there? But she is the type of teacher that you know, when you're new to a school and you're backwards and stuttering, kids are calling you Bud because they don't know your name, and she'll come and she'll put your arm around you and she'll say, things will be okay. Well, she missed on this one. But let me tell you about her 1996. In the spring, she found that she was the recipient of the, I'm going to screw these up here, but she was the recipient of the Millikan Foundation Award, which is an award given to only a handful of people, not in the state, but in the entire nation. So she followed that up by her staff being named as one of the Best Practices Award in the state of Ohio. And then she recently found out that she is the recipient of the Appleseed Ridge Golden Paradigm Women of Achievement Award. Now, to receive any one of these in any one year would be fantastic. To throw them all into one just makes it, you know, something that is practically unheard of. And Fort Recovery is kind of unique because last year's Women of Achievement Award was also from Fort Recovery. So guys, we've lost complete control. You know, this is really tough because I know accepting these that Nancy feels uncomfortable because she'll be the first to say she is what she is because of the staff that's working with her, because of the parents that are dedicating their time, because of outstanding school board members like myself. But it is true, Mrs. Knappe, that you can't do it all by yourself, but it's even more true that it certainly wouldn't have happened without you. So I'd like to introduce Fort Recovery's ambassador to the world and the 1996 Achievement Award winner, Mrs. Nancy Knappe.
What can I say? Thank you so much. And Jack really stole my thunder because I can't accept this for me. I have to accept this for all those people who made this possible. Obviously, I can't do this by myself, and I'm only standing here because of all those people. All the things that I've done in the community of Fort Recovery, I've done with the most wonderful people in the world. Jim Zeringer has been at my side all the time when we've done anything here in the community, and a lot of times he was ahead of me. And we've just worked with such wonderful people. Kathy Kester sitting back there, and people like that worked with us on the bicentennials and all those things that have happened here in Fort Recovery. We've just been so fortunate to have those people. As far as the school is concerned, I can't possibly accept an award for me because our school is a team. Starting with the board and Pat, the administration, certainly the teachers in my building and the cooks and the janitors and everyone associated with it. We work as a team. So, you know, Jeanette, they told me I won this award the other day, and I said, Jeanette, that just can't be. I'm just so embarrassed because this isn't for me. So the only way I can accept this is if I accept it on behalf of all those people. And of course, I have to say something about my family. Being a single parent, I couldn't be so involved if I didn't have a lot of support. And if it weren't for Grandpa and Grandma Myring and Grandpa and Grandma Kanapke being there for me with my kids, and as it turned out, having 4 wonderful kids who have been nothing but pleasure for me, I just have the most supportive family. And Sharon and Helen should both be up here beside me because they have seen me through all the community things and all the school things. And so I will only accept this if I can accept it in the name of all those people who made it possible. Thank you.
Nancy, on behalf of the village, in sincere and deep appreciation of your many past contributions to the Fort Recovery community, the commitment, dedication, and seemingly endless volunteer efforts that you make in educating our youth, preserving the great heritage, and positively impacting our young children's lives has and will continue to have a great asset to our school system and our entire community. Your continued leadership in our elementary schools is evident in the many successes achieved by our students and continues to make our school one of the finest in the state of Ohio, if not all of America. As the education of our youth is one of the most important community improvement goals that can be achieved, the efforts you put forth will be a huge part in the success that will be achieved by our future leaders, and with it, well-earned admiration and respect that the Village of Fort Recovery also recognizes you as deserving this Special Achievement Award.
Congratulations, Nancy. Let's hope we can get a few more good years out of you, though. Our next award, this is a $500 award, and each year it is presented to a Fort Recovery High School senior who will be pursuing a business or a professional degree and exemplifies excellent characteristics of citizenship, work ethic, and community pride. We are proud to award this year's Fort Recovery Chamber of Commerce Scholarship Award to Miss Tracy Kesters. Tracy, you want to come on up? She's the daughter of Kathy and Carl Kesters. She maintains a 4.0 plus grade point average, and from what I hear, she's probably the likely co-valedictorian at Fort Recovery this year. And she will be attending either Wright State University or the University of Dayton this fall. So, congratulations.
All right. Next is what we'd like to do is do the Beautification Awards, and every year, the last few years, Larry Keller has come up and given these out. So without further ado, with Larry calling up, and let's give away some nice awards.
No rehearsal, so we have to see what we have to do up here. Been here for 2 hours and Dr. Hosback has not told a joke yet. I'm amazed. You're saving it. You got the top 10 list, Letterman's top 10 list tonight, or anything for us? Or I know it's coming, so sooner or later it's got to come. It's good to be back again. We're always glad to help sponsor these awards, we think they're just great, and we see so many good things, and I'm glad I'm not a judge ever on these awards, because it gets kind of tough picking out some of these awards. The first award this evening, Most Improved Property. What a beautiful frame. I guess there's a picture that'll be coming in later that when they take the pictures, it'll go into the frame. And by guys, this guy really did do a nice job in improving his home. We all thought it needed it. He finally did it. I'd say that if he was here. John Betts. If you've been by that home, John did a nice job. I'm sure we'll see that John gets that award. He's aware of it. And John's not one to attend functions like this, but he said he does appreciate the award. Next award is the Most Improved Dwelling. This one's really tough. So many people fixed up their homes last year and done work on their homes, and you just see that improvement every year. I just don't think we can get much better. They just keep improving their homes. So this one really had to be a tough one to judge. Randy and Mary Diller, would you come forward to accept that award? Sitting back there next to Birch Street, and I was talking, I looked across the table, and I seen Adam Beach over there in the corner, and it just reminded me of something I had to tell you. It happened a good many years ago, about 20, 25 years ago. I bought the money business out from Mr. Franklin, run that several years. And Adam Beach was had the shoe store right across the street. I seen Adam every day, about 15 times. He'd come across and say, "Keller, I got a great idea." And I'd have to listen to his great idea. I remember one time he had a great idea. Don't remember too many more than that, but one day we had some chamber business, and me and Mr. Beach had to make a trip to Dayton. Now some of you won't remember this, but when you go down 49 to Greenville, and then on into Dayton, about Phillipsburg, I think there's a gas station to carry out now on the left. On the right side, there was an outhouse. Remember that outhouse that you sit in there, Ted? Go on. Right there by Phillipsburg, on the side road. Well, anyway, it just so happened when we got to about that point, I told Adam, I said, "Pull over." I said, "I've got to go to the bathroom." And there's this outhouse on this farmer's field on the corner there by the railroad. And must have been a rich farmer, because it was a two-holer. And I was just in there a little bit, and a knock at the door, and it was Adam. Adam said, "I got to go too. Can I come in?" I said, "Sure, come on in. It's a two-holer." Well, it didn't take Adam long, and he was done, and pulled up his pants. And as he pulled up his pants, a quarter fell out of his pocket. And that quarter made about 3 circles on the floor, and right through a crack. Down she went. And Adam stood there and stared the longest time at that floor. And finally he reached in his back pocket, took out his billfold, pulled out a $20 bill, and threw it down the hole. I said, "Adam, what in the world is happening? What are you doing?" He said, "If you think I'm going to go down there for a quarter, you got to be kidding." At this time, Mr. Stone, for District 3, will present an award for the best landscaping.
Well, again, this was pretty unrehearsed, so I'll just mention his name. He did a lot of work out in front of his house, new front porch, new landscaping, and a lot of brickwork out front. Mr. Bob Freemeyer.
Thanks, Steve, for that introduction. Alrighty, that's true. I've been very seriously. Partly because there's so much program here, so many awards, that I feel it's just not enough time to get through it all. But heck, we can tell out jokes. I did. There was a bit of a news story a few weeks back about Mr. John Boehner, and he happened to have on. Remember, having had one of his cellular phone calls. Let's just say accidentally recorded. And I thought, come on, you gotta be joking, in deference to the Democratic Party. But, actually, I must admit, I was sitting at my desk when I was doing dictation with my tape recorder, and just so happened something came over the Bearcat scanner, and it happens. And so I do have a little tape. It's kind of a little garbled maybe, and heck, you may recognize who's on, I don't know, but I thought I'd share that with you tonight.
Hello there. Hey, yeah, hey, how you doing? It's Johnny B today. Yeah, hi, how's the wife and kids? Super. Yeah, I'm just driving down the old Ohio Turnpike here. Yeah, I tell you, with all this flooding in Cincinnati, I'm glad I didn't try to go to that Ford Recovery Citizen of the Year banquet. Hell, they must be 6 feet underwater too. Yeah, so it's late. Yeah, what's that? Yeah, I've been reading it. Yeah, they're really getting hammered there, old Bill. Yeah, boy, I tell you, that breaks my heart. They should rename the White House a Bed and Breakfast. Yeah. Probably doesn't even feed him breakfast. Probably makes him go over to his coffee house and serve him some coffee. Oh, I don't know. What kind of coffee do you think they serve? Probably the official coffee of the Democratic Party. Chock full of nuts. Yeah. Hey, you think old Bill charges him the same amount that he used to pay back in the old days for an overnighter? If you know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, I had something fun happen the other night. Yeah, I got a late phone call. Thought it was some kind of aluminum siding salesman. Yeah, it was Al Gore. Yeah, he must have been working late at the office that night. Yeah. So, heard any good ones lately? Oh, okay, yeah. No. Okay, what's the difference between O.J. and a congressman? Yeah, tell me. O.J. gets put on trial twice. Oh, maybe a slave. Oh, yeah. Hey, even $300,000 in debt, you still got it. Hello?
Anybody can tell me who that was. I appreciate it. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to pull Mayor John Wolf back up to stand here. We're going to have the Mayor's Outstanding Community Service Award.
Shiny. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's 1996 Community Service Award is going to the ambassadors. Nell Franklin, you have been the secretary for years there. Would you please accept this award for all the long, hard work that they put in? Now, this says a sincere appreciation for your years of dedication and volunteer efforts to the Fort Recovery community. Your contributions over the years include the development of the local swimming pool and have helped create improvements in our parks, our schools, and our local business economy. Thank you very much on behalf of all the ambassadors.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Wolf. And I certainly am pleased to accept this for the ambassadors. They've been a big part of our community, and I'm sure that all of you appreciate everything that they have accomplished. I think about when Ted and I drive down by the swimming pool, what a privilege it is for us to have the kind of a park and the swimming pool, and the ambassadors have been a big part of that. And the ambassadors is something that two men had a vision, and they signed a note the way that we first got started, and didn't know whether we'd ever have a tractor pull or what would become of this 10 acres of land. And look, today, we're celebrating our 25th year of national tractor pulling. So we've come a long way, and you never get a card telling you that your dues are due. All you have to do is come and work and be willing to work hard a few days out of the year. So on behalf of the ambassadors, I want to thank you, John, for this award. I'm sure that we'll have it hanging on the wall.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wes. Come on the stage. Little trip. All righty, our next category is the Hall of Fame Awards. I'd like to first list the nominees. It was John Cheeseman and Rob Tobey. Now I'd like to introduce Bob Freemeyer, who presents the first award to Mr. Burley Burke.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hosbach. As a teenager in the 1940s, the event of the summer was the Harvest Jubilee. Remember, there was no such thing as television. Movies at the Royal Theater were definitely not the latest out. It wasn't air conditioned. There were still thrashing machines in the area to harvest the wheat. So most of you people can't identify with that. Fort Recovery was famous for its Harvest Jubilee. Burley Burke will be the first one to tell you that this was not a one-man show. He did have some help, but if there was one individual in town responsible for the operation of the week-long carnival, it was Burley Burke. The rides, concession people began arriving on Friday and Saturday, and we're told to go to Burke's Barber Shop and check in. Burley assigned each concessionaire a spot on the midway. Rides were the best available at that time. F.E. Gooding out of Columbus, Ohio. The carnival people weren't the most easiest to satisfy. Burley had a lot of problems. They complained about a number of matters. On top of that, about half the merchants were unhappy. The farmers were unhappy. They couldn't get down to the elevators. And the people couldn't get into the street, into the stores from Wayne Street because without dodging sandbags and so forth. The only real happy merchants in town, I think, were Charlie Minerding, Ivo, Toby, Sox Hayes, Eddie Wolf, and any other tavern owners I may have forgotten to mention. What made the Jubilee such a big thing? The free acts, the Blue Ascension. Burley would go to meetings in Columbus, make arrangements for the rides. The brokers from the free acts would be there, and of course the many concession people wanting to come and walk their way. Trapeze free act at 11 o'clock was usually down on the hill by the fort, there by the library. Ray Cool and Guy Rutter almost came to blows about who would get a handle the microphone, the PA, to do that. Burley recalled a high pole act in the late 50s or early 60s. Betty and Bob. They were here in Fort Recovery in July, and he said he saw them on television from New York City performing high above the streets that same year, or later that same year. The Balloon Ascensions were always a trademark of the Jubilee. We had some characters and some very professional parachutists. Smiling Pat Timmons had only one arm and one leg. He was very strong in constitution and often went up when he shouldn't. Those who witnessed Mel Warnock's aborted attempt, I'm sure will never forget it. He tried going up from Wayne Street, and his foot became entangled in one of the ropes on takeoff. He cut loose and come down with a great thud when he got up about as high as Minerding's building. Adam Beach says that there were a couple hundred people that helped take him down to Doc Herkamp's office. I don't remember that, but I know that. In later years, though, Ed Allen, near Niagara Falls, came, very professional, and did an excellent job. Burley orchestrated this whole week for our community. He told me that Gus Seifert helped him 1 or 2 years with abandoning the ship owning. He also credits Dr. Charles Myring. Now, I remember my dad and Harry Short Long collecting contributions for the Free Acts. And of course, Mayor Sebastian Ranley also assisted in a helpful way. Let's get to the point. Burley Burke has been selected for the Hall of Fame by the Chamber of Commerce. This is one way we can tell his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren their grandfather was one of our most respected citizens. He spent thousands of hours, made numerous sacrifices in making certain that the young people and the old people too had 1 week to look forward to each summer. When Fred Cox from Sydney would pull in with the best candy apples, caramel corn, and cotton candy made anywhere, Boffy from Portland would come in with his mouse game and a couple other concessions. And there's a reason why the older folks, and I include myself there, say, well, you know, the Jubilees aren't like they used to be. No, we couldn't get away with that. But to the credit of the young people today that supervise this, the amount of community support, they do an excellent job. Burley and his wife Ada live in the mobile home court. They have one son, Pete, who's married to Marilyn Giacchi. They live in St. Mary's in the summer, but are in the south most of the winter. But with Burley and Ada this evening are his 3 grandsons. Steve, who lives near Bryant, Doug, who lives south of town, Mike and his wife, who reside in St. Henry. Burley Burke, we're here tonight to salute you for all the things you have done for our hometown.
Say a few words or not? Says thank you. And I can relay, I always hate when I get these balloonists that fall 100 feet and they bring them in the office. Not as much as they were just the guys that go out and use the restroom and poison ivy patch. All right, next we move on to Kathy Jutte, who will come up and present an award to Kathy Stahl.
Said usually when I'm before a crowd, it's my students, and I have 45 minutes, but I won't take that long. I first met Kathy Stogler about 20 years ago. Kathy and I were both teaching special ed for recovery schools. Kathy was teaching DH and I was teaching LD. We became very close professionally by sharing ideas with how to work with special kids, and became very good friends. One particular year I can remember, Kathy had a student who was wheelchair bound, and she was in the basement at West Elementary, the old part, and every day Kathy would carry the student up the stairs. They'd put him in a little red wagon and pull him to the back of the cafeteria, and she would carry him up the stairs so he could eat lunch with the other kids, so he would feel like part of the crowd. And this was something Kathy was known for as far as giving to her kids so they would feel like everybody else and they didn't feel different. Little did I know that Kathy would become a real important part of my life. If I can get through this. When my son Matthew was born with Down syndrome, I remember the doctor telling me, of course I called my husband. He wasn't with me at the time. I called my mother, and the third person I called was Kathy from the hospital. And I didn't know anything about Down syndrome kids. I didn't know what to expect, you know. And Kathy kept saying, it's going to be okay, you know. When we came home from the hospital, Kathy was our first visitor. She made our initial contact with Cheryl Ann Schools. You know, that's a real hard call to make that first time, to get help for your child. And she got it set up, and at 3 weeks old, Matt began his schooling at Cheryl Ann. And Kathy has helped so many parents in the area and in the county as far as getting the help that their kids need. You know, Kathy works presently with all kinds of communication devices. She has a couple students here that she's worked with. She works with the Mercer County schools and with 6 adjoining counties with helping the kids so they can communicate with the world around them and they don't feel different. After Kathy finished teaching DH, she went back into speech, and again, she touched our lives. She was Matt's speech teacher at the MH classes in Coldwater, and she was constantly giving us suggestions on how Matt could communicate with sign language and repair books, we called it, and flashcards. And not a day goes by that his sister doesn't say, Matt, just be quiet for 1 minute. Because he talks constantly, and I think we owe a lot of that to Kathy. As most of you know, every year I take the 8th graders to Washington, D.C. And the year my daughter was an 8th grader, my husband went along, and we just didn't know who to leave Matt with. We didn't want to send him to my mom's because he would have missed a whole week of school. And the first person that came to mind was Kathy and Paul, because I knew I could trust them to watch him and take care of him. So I asked Kathy, and she said, sure, you know, we'll take him for the week. They'd love to have him, you know. And the whole trip, I really never thought about him because I knew he was in Kathy's care. Nothing to worry about, you know. Of course, when I got home, I found out she lost him one time. He went to watch the Fort Recovery New Knoxville game and got in the New Knoxville dugout. And Kathy Elsler got him out of there, and Kathy realized he was gone. But, you know, I have so much confidence that, you know, I wasn't afraid to leave and with them. Kathy presently teaches a special ed class here at the Mary Helps Christian Church for the kids in religion. They come from Coldwater and St. Henry and Salina. And the reason is because we all know Kathy's reputation as far as what she does for our kids. And it's outstanding. You know, the material she uses, she makes up herself. Matt made his first communion last year, which when you have a special child, you just don't know what they're going to be able to accomplish. But with Kathy's help, you know, he made his first communion. And she helps so many of the kids as far as the things that they need, as far as the religion and everything. And to teach them that God loves them even if they are different, you know. I guess so far I've told you of things that Kathy has done for me personally, but I know from a fact that she has helped so many parents in this area and in this county with their kids. And, you know, we can always call her if we need her. And so at this time, if I can get through this, I guess the best thing I could say is, with Kathy, there's been times when you haven't had time, but you've taken the time. There's been times when you had enough cares of your own, but you took on our cares. And there's been times when all of your giving was given, but you still gave to us. At this time, I'd like my son to come up and help me present the award to Kathy Stockholm, the Hall of Fame. Kathy, you want to come up?
honored to be recognized like this. A few years ago when Paul and I remodeled the house where Paul's mom lives now, I remember my dad gave lots of good advice, and one of them was don't tear down any support walls. And when I went into that house, I looked around, and every wall looked the same to me. A support wall, a non-support wall, they all look the same. I think what I've always wanted to be all my life is a support wall. And if I'm up here tonight, it's only because all the people that have come in contact with me have been so good at painting the wall, and wallpapering the wall, and decorating the wall. I see you, Brent. I've been very lucky because my job has been my playground. Wherever I've worked, I've had some wonderful administrators who supported me, who let me try things. I've had some wonderful teachers. I've had students that have given back to me more than I could ever give to them. My little spark plug here. If Brent Menchover hadn't persistently asked for a cup of coffee for so many years, and every time he does now, I know that there's somebody else out there that has that need inside to communicate like he does. And he keeps me going. The church has been my other playground, and I don't think anybody could ever be closer to God than I am when I sit here on a Sunday morning with 6 of the neatest little angels in the whole wide world. Is that right? There's been so many. The kids that I've worked with, I just can't say enough. And I miss somebody that I started mentioning. I want to cry. I wouldn't be here at all if it wasn't too for the support I get from my family. If there wasn't Rick, who keeps me in a reality check of what life's really about and where we're going. For my mother-in-law, my best supporter and my best friend. And for Amy and Carrie and Jeff. Because I love them so much, I know that I can go out to other kids and to other parents and know how much their child is loved by them, and I can give to them. And to Paul, who knows that he takes the back seat, he sits way back sometimes, but he never, when I come home, there's now a time when he doesn't say, I'm proud of you, and I'm glad for what you do. And this means a lot to me, and to all the kids that I've worked with. Thank you.
Dan, thank you for all that. All right, we're going to go ahead and go right into our next category for the 1997 Citizen of the Year. I'm first going to announce the nominations. The first responders, Mike Lau, Dennis Carkey, Jay Pearson, and Dan Wendell. Thank you. Tony Timmerman, Steve Stone, Neil Spencer, Ted Shuttleworth, Stan Schmitz, John Fowler, Dan Pollard, and Randy Dillard. Now I'd like Ken Romer to come up to present the award to Mr. Ted Romer.
It looks at me like, oh no. You know, they talk about a hard act to follow. Kathy, you're really a hard one. You call everybody's hard here. You deserve it. I would like to thank, first of all, the committee and the person that nominated Ted for this award tonight, for the chance for me to come up here and be able to present this to Ted. It's quite an honor for me, as much, I would say, as it is for him to receive. I appreciate that very much. Ted's involvement in Fort Recovery began when he was just a little tyke with the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts. Community work was involved here. He progressed through the years, through grade school, high school. He left his mark in high school in as much as he was on the track team. At that time, he set the 110-meter high hurdles. This was in 1987. This record still holds today. Besides his involvement in sports, Ted was involved in numerous other functions there at school, doing his fair share. After high school, he applied to and was accepted at Miami University. At Miami, he soon became involved there also. One particular event that happened sticks out in my mind. Ted's a very private type person, and he would never tell this. He may not appreciate me telling it. But Ted was involved with this organization, and one of their projects was to help the community in some way. So, wanting to become involved with the community, Ted went out to the cemetery with the group one day, and they were policing the area, a military coming out. They were cleaning up the area, and in the process of cleaning up, Ted found this $5 bill. He tried to find the rightful owner, which of course, pretty hard to do since no one talked to him out there. But he did not want to keep it. Being the type of person he is, the next day he went to church. He took that $5 bill, plus his money, which he didn't have much of at the time. He wrapped his money around the $5 bill and dropped it in the collection basket, not wanting to hang on to somebody else's money. I thought that was very, very noble, and that's the type of people it makes or it takes for awards like this. After graduation from Miami University, Ted was offered a job with Red Lobster in Columbus as assistant manager. Things were starting to look up. He was assistant manager at a relatively new Red Lobster, and shortly after starting this position, he noticed that there was this beautiful little blonde. He definitely wanted to become acquainted with her, but due to rules and regulations, he was not allowed to date the help. After working at Sawmill Road for a period of time, Ted was transferred to another Red Lobster, which was in the bad part of town. He did not want to go, but they were having a problem over there, and they had hopes that he could help straighten it out. Unwillingly, he went. First place, he feared for his life because, as I say, it was a very dangerous neighborhood. And second of all, this blonde that he had spotted, had never had the opportunity to really meet, was going to fade into the background. He worked the other Red Lobster for a period of time, becoming very depressed, not wanting to be there at all. And he called home one night and he said, "I've got to do something. This just is not the answer for me." During the meantime, Steve Frankie had shown considerable interest in Ted, kept inquiring, hoping that someday he would come back to Fort Recovery. So I mentioned this to Ted. So he hung with it for a while, and one day, when Ted came back from Columbus, came home, he was sitting in the living room with me, and he said, "You know, Dad, I was listening to this song on the way home." He said, "You know what about, I want to be like you, Dad," and I pray to God that he isn't. He said, "The one where you get involved, you live in a small community, you get involved with the community, you settle down, get married, raise your family." So he was setting his goals there, basing them around this song. Well, a short period of time later, Ted had it. So he came back, he talked to Steve and Bob, and they offered him the position. A few weeks later, he hung his hat up at Red Lobster and came back to Fort Recovery. Things are starting to look up now. I forgot one important thing here. Another episode that I'm sure Ted does not want me to forget. The night before he left Columbus, the blonde that he wanted to meet so bad, Ted was invited to a party, a reception, co-worker of his. But anyway, at the reception, here was this beautiful blonde. They immediately, or I should say, he immediately struck up a conversation. He took her home and found out that there was kind of a mutual admiration society here. They embraced, enjoyed their first kiss. The fireworks went off, the lights flashed. Ted thought the world was looking much, much better. He left Columbus with a promissory note from Lisa that she would see him again. Ted worked, or buckled down, I should say, at the Frankie Myring Agency, trying to learn the trade, and in between, starting to get involved with the community. A few weeks after Ted had arrived, or had started his position with Bob and Steve, he received a phone call. It was from a co-worker. And the gentleman told Ted that the man that had replaced him as assistant manager had been shot and killed in an after-hours holdup. But folks, I have thanked Steve and Bob before, and publicly thank God and Steve and Bob again for bringing Ted back to Fort Recovery. If they had not, that would have been Ted. There is no doubt about it. So thank you again, guys. After this, Ted started getting into his involvement in Fort Recovery. And I don't know if it was one of his first projects, but he took on chairmanship of battling a utility company, more or less, trying to get the telephone rate from Fort Recovery to Salina lowered. After, good grief, I don't know how long it did, year and a half, 2 years, whatever, a long period of time, trips to Columbus and so forth, they finally did manage to pull it off. And so today, we are enjoying lower telephone rates, long distance rates to Salina due to Ted's efforts and the rest of the committee, which I know Randy Diller was on it, and I don't know who else. Forgive me for not mentioning your name because I don't know who all was on it. After becoming more and more involved, and of course making many, many trips to Columbus, and Lisa making many, many trips to Fort Recovery, Ted thought, this is wearing out my car, it's wearing out Lisa's car, and I need her by my side. On September the 30th, in 1994, in this very structure, Lisa Marie Aubuchon became Mrs. Ted Romer. He got that blonde he wanted. Lisa's hiding. Through the years, Ted became more and more involved, especially with the chamber. And as best as I read this to you, it's the nomination form. And it says Ted has done an excellent job rejuvenating the Chamber of Commerce with new fundraisers and meeting speakers. He is also very active with Project Recovery and the Jubilee. His enthusiasm encourages others to get included. So they're crediting Ted with revitalizing the Chamber of Commerce. Other comments made by another chamber member says that he has given our town a chamber that is functioning and productive. It has become an organization that can assist businesses and organizations as a chamber should. They credit him with developing a mission statement, which is a great way to get things rolling. In addition to his involvement with the chamber and the ambassadors, of course, which he started at an earlier age, I'll read the article from the newspaper which best describes all the different functions that Ted has been involved in. Since his return to Fort Recovery Community in 1992, he recently completed a 2-year term as president of the local Chamber of Commerce, during which he completed many changes and improvements in rejuvenating this organization. Ted has also been active with many other groups and organizations, including Project Recovery, Lions Club, Academic Boosters, Athletic Boosters, Merchants Association, the Ambassadors, Fort Recovery Harvest Jubilee, a business network member for the Citizens of Drug-Free Network. He has been a member of the Scholastic Bowl for 2 years, a member of the community band, and a member of the community choir. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this pretty well qualifies a young man. At this time, it's with great honor I present the 1996 Citizen of the Year, Mr. Ted Romer.
I am real thankful to just finally get to this moment, not necessarily this moment in my life receiving this type of award, just to get to this point of the day so I can calm my nerves down a little bit. I tried to prepare some things for tonight to accept this honor, and it kind of threw me off guard when my very own father presents this award to me. I know that that's kind of a dream that he's had, and I'm honored, I guess, to be able to help him fulfill and accomplish that dream. I've had the pleasure of being up here at the same podium. This is the 3rd year in a row now, the last 2 years as a host of this event. I don't think any of it compares to the way my nerves are jumping around right now, so please bear with me. I've got a little speech that I prepared here, and please forgive me if I read it, because the thoughts are in my head, but I don't know if I can mechanically put them into words on my own right now. It's quite an honor being up here tonight to receive this award in front of so many people that I respect and admire so much. I know that that's only because of all of you that I'm being recognized for this award. They say that everyone is entitled to 15 minutes of fame in their lifetime. So if this is mine, I'm going to take advantage of every second. Anyone who's ever attended a chamber meeting during my presidency knows that there's no such thing as keeping it short. So keeping with that tradition, I'm going to take advantage of the time here to dedicate this award to several people who've had a hand in my receiving this recognition. Let me first start by congratulating the other nominees for Citizen of the Year, Randy Diller, Dan Fowler, John Fowler, Ted Shuttleworth, Neil Spencer, Steve Stone, Tony Timmerman, and the first responders, Mike Laux, Dennis Garkey, Jay Pearson, and Dan Wendell. Any of those individuals would be equally deserving of receiving this award and being up here tonight. I also want to congratulate the Hall of Fame winners, Kathy Stogler and Burley Burke. Both of you are a real inspiration. As I look around the room, and as I have tonight, I've seen quite a few other faces that are familiar to this banquet. And that's a lot of the past Citizen of the Year and Hall of Fame recipients. I also want to thank you for all the examples that you've set for the rest of us. I want to thank my family for not only being here tonight, but for being there all the time with their unconditional love and support. My wife, Lisa, my parents, Ken and Elaine Romer. I have 3 grandmothers here with me tonight, Mary Romer, Dorothy Wolf, and Margareta Cameron. My mother-in-law, Joyce Abishon, and my godmother and her husband, Vicki and Mike Schwartz. You've heard of guilt by association. I like to think of this as a classic case of honor by association. I've always felt very fortunate to be able to surround myself with so many quality people. And in Fort Recovery, that's not hard to do because there are so many. I've always admired and had great respect for the doers and shakers in this community. And for me, that's what this award is all about, respect. There's one person in particular on this list that I want to thank for teaching me the value of respect. And that's the 1989 Hall of Fame winner, my father, Ken Romer. You've all had a chance to take a good look at him here previously, and I've grown up all my life with people telling me that I look like my dad. And I guess that's not such a bad thing. He's still a pretty good-looking guy, pushing 59. But lately, I've had people tell me that I'm starting to act like him, too. And that's not such a bad thing either. From an early age, my parents were the perfect role models when it came to showing others respect and working hard to earn their respect in return. I can remember one specific instant when I was home from college on break. Dad and I were sharing some father-son bonding, or at least that's what he thought. I just thought he was trying to take advantage of free labor to get the car waxed. I was probably a sophomore or a junior at Miami University at the time. And for those of you who are familiar with Miami, I guess the fact that it attracts students from more upper-class families gives it a certain air about itself. I guess Dad had caught on to this by now and was starting to worry that maybe the influence of my college peers would start to cloud my memory about who I was and where I was from. So in our conversation, Dad very discreetly reminded me that respect cannot be assumed, it must be earned. Well, Dad probably didn't realize at the time the impact that conversation would have on me. It's one that has always stuck in the back of my mind. So thanks, Mom and Dad, for all the values you've instilled in me and for all the lessons I never even know I learned. I feel very lucky to have grown up with such great role models, and even more fortunate to still share my life with them on a regular basis. Anyone who knows my parents knows the shoes I'm trying to fill. My family is just one group of people whose example, encouragement, and inspiration have made me who I am today. Another group is my fellow club members in this community. Whether it's the Chamber of Commerce, the Lions Club, Project Recovery, or any other organization that I've been involved in, one thing is consistent. They all have great people who are committed to their cause. This fact alone makes it very difficult to be part of one of these organizations without being involved and participating. There is one group in particular that I've had the privilege of working with over the last 4 years, and that's the Project Recovery Committee. President Tom Kaut, Vice President Lori Kaut, and Treasurer Randy Diller. Do any of those names sound familiar to you? There's just happened to be 3 out of the last 5 citizens of the year. So you can imagine the pressure I was under. I want to express a special thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for giving me the opportunity to serve the organization over the past few years and for placing the faith and trust in me during some times of transition. I also want to thank you for the honor that you're bestowing here tonight on me and all the past and present recipients during the 17-year history of this banquet. While no one has ever sought this recognition for the sole motivation While no one has ever sought this recognition as their sole motivation for giving to their community, it is a welcome token of our appreciation. The citizens of Fort McCovery are our most valuable asset, and this banquet has always been the perfect opportunity to showcase this, not only in Fort McCovery, but throughout the entire county and state. Another group of individuals that I owe a great debt of gratitude are my co-workers. Steve Franke, Bob Myring, and Marcia Stogler. They're all here tonight. Any of the 3 of them could easily be up here receiving this award tonight. Between the 4 of us, we managed to cover quite a range of involvement in the community. I guess that's why we often find ourselves playing the role of Information Central. I know I haven't said thank you enough to them in the past for their flexibility, support, and assistance with all the community projects I participate in. So let me try to express my appreciation now. Whether it's selling Fortopoly games, Christmas ornaments, sponsoring various events, or just taking messages for me, I couldn't do it without them. I can't imagine 3 better people to work with, or 2 better bosses to work for. So Bob, Steve, and Marcia, this award belongs as much to the Frankie Myring Agency as it does to me. I can't tell you how much it's meant over the last 4.5 years to have the flexibility you've given me to participate in our community, not to mention the access to office equipment that makes completing these projects a little bit easier. It takes a special kind of career to be able to balance all this. You guys have not only given me the opportunity to come back home and work in the community that I grew up, but you've also encouraged me to be an active part of it. In a business where we're constantly exposed to the public, they have made sure that I had every opportunity to make an acquaintance. So thank you again for all of your support, cooperation, encouragement, and support. As I mentioned, I moved back home 4.5 years ago to work at the Frankie Myring Agency. Next to marrying my wife Lisa, that's probably the best decision I've ever made. When I think about it now, it's kind of ironic, because 10 years ago at this time, I was looking forward to graduating from high school. And like lots of seniors, and I'm sure Ms. Kessler may be able to relate to this, I couldn't wait to get out of Fort Recovery. At that time, I saw little potential for a career in this community, and I thought I'd have to be somewhere else to be successful. I never saw myself coming back to Fort Recovery to live. As time went on, I realized that while you can take the boy out of the small town, you can't take the small town out of the boy. And I found myself once again drawn to student organizations and volunteer activities. The older and wiser I got, the more I appreciated my small town life. I didn't know if I would ever end up back in Fort Recovery, but I knew that someday I wanted to settle down again in a small town and raise a family. After spending my first year after college in Columbus, that was all it took to bring me back to the place where I knew I would always be welcome and where I could once again experience that sense of community that I was starting to miss. My outlook on this community is much different today than it was 10 years ago. Partly because I'm older, wiser, and have gained a deeper appreciation for the simple things in life. I'm not the only one who's changed, though. Fort Recovery has changed, too. Today, I see more opportunity in our village than ever before. And we have so much to be proud of, thanks to the hard work of so many outstanding citizens. This is easy to see in the number of young people returning to our community today. Most of you are familiar with the Nike slogan, "Just do it." Well, that might be a very appropriate rally cry for many of the endeavors in our community. There was another slogan used by Nike just prior to the Just Do It era. And that slogan was, "Life is not a spectator sport." This is the motto I have chosen to live by. I could not imagine living in Fort Recovery without participating in this great community. I had the opportunity to see my nomination that was submitted for this award. As my father stated when he mentioned it, my nominator wrote, "His enthusiasm encourages everyone to get involved." This statement was very flattering to me, and while I would like to think it's true, it's only because of the enthusiasm so many others has encouraged me to get involved. So I want to challenge all of you out there tonight to either set a positive example or follow someone else's and participate in your community. Life is just too short not to. I want to thank God for all the talents and abilities that He has given me and for helping me to use them in such a positive way. And finally, last, but certainly not least, I want to thank my best friend, my wife Lisa, whose most endearing quality is her ability to bring out the best in me. They say that behind every great man, there's a great woman. Just as my mother has been the great woman behind my father, Lisa has been the great woman behind me. Only she hasn't been behind me. She's been beside me all the way. I couldn't ask for a more loving and supportive companion to share life's experiences with. This award would mean nothing to me if it was received at the expense of sacrificing time with Lisa. On the contrary, it means more than you can imagine, because it's the result of not just my efforts, but what we can accomplish by working together. This plaque should read, "Ted and Lisa Romer." Any of you who have witnessed my participation in the community know that I haven't done so alone. Whenever possible, Lisa and I attend meetings and volunteer our time together. I found that the best way to get my wife's support is to first get her involved. Having come to Fort Recovery 2.5 years ago from the big city of Columbus, Lisa wasn't sure how she would adjust to small town life, but I'm proud to say that she's done so remarkably well. Through the help of an accepting community, Lisa has found her place and is now proud to call Fort Recovery her home too. Presently, Lisa is driving 80 miles a day to work in Sydney, and then another 70 miles twice a week to attend classes in Dayton. Starting in June, she'll be traveling 150 miles a day to pursue her master's degree at Wright State University in Dayton. To some, this may seem crazy, and the logical solution would be to move closer to Dayton to cut down her commute. To us, this is not an option. While my family and career are what brought me back to Fort Recovery, it is the pride that we take in this community that won't allow us to leave. This is not a feeling that I've influenced on Lisa, but one that we share mutually. So for all of your unconditional love, support, encouragement, and assistance, I dedicate this award to you, Lisa. You have always made me feel special and reflected me as a success in your eyes. I love you very much. The last thing I want to share with you is a poem that Lisa has given me for this occasion. It's titled "Success" by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Success: to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a little bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Thank you.
of my life.
All right. Now I know what the catch of the day is, the red lobster. I also know I'm paying my bill at 10 o'clock to get the hell out of here. Thank you very much, Ted, especially with rejuvenation of the chamber. I remember when Ted took over, he sat down and said, let's make a mission statement. It seemed like, and again, it was just for focus, because truly you can't obtain goals and get where you're going without knowing where you're going. And by the way, if anybody wants to buy any Christmas balls, we have collector items, still got that. All righty. Next, I'd like to introduce Senator Bob Cupp and Mr. Bill Wilkie to come on up, as well as the illustrious Mayor John Wolf, to go ahead and present some additional awards. And at this time, too, before I forget, I do want to remind all recipients to stay for pictures after the banquet.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Doctor. Ladies and gentlemen, I realize that just us are what's standing between you and the Purple Pride, so we'll be brief. I do appreciate the kind invitation from the Chamber of Commerce to be here this evening for your Citizen of the Year and Hall of Fame banquet. While it may be raining and cold outside, tonight you're honoring people who have brought extraordinary sunshine to Fort Recovery and to the people of Fort Recovery. I know that Representative Beakey was unable to be here tonight. You know, he is one of the hardest working and most energetic people in the Ohio House, and he regrets that he had a prior commitment and couldn't be here. But you know, although he's not here in person, he is certainly here in spirit. We have together been here a number of times this year to help honor and recognize other wonderful things that have gone in Fort Recovery. The Best Practices Award, which really is extraordinary for your school. Cross-country team winning their first state championship. This indeed is a community that celebrates its past and in a very extraordinary way. But you also engage the present, working hard to make the best of today for everything that you can get out of it. And you're working even harder for a better future to create even more opportunity for your community and for the people in this community. And Fort Recovery is special because of its people, because of you. People who give much because you care so much. And tonight, by honoring some of the special people, you are lifting them up so others can see what good works and good deeds can do and to benefit the community and the people of the community. And in honor of that, the Ohio House and the Ohio Senate have adopted special commendations. And if Kathy Stogler and Ted Romer, if you'd come up, and Mr. Burke, if you'll stay there, I'll come and visit you in a moment. First recognition is from the Ohio Senate. On behalf of the members of the Senate of the 121st General Assembly of Ohio, we are pleased to congratulate Burley Burke on being inducted into the Fort Recovery Hall of Fame. Clearly, you merit praise for your productive efforts. Area residents have appreciated your contributions as chairperson of the Harvest Jubilee, as a mainstay of your church, and as a devoted member of the Masonic Lodge. Considering your initiative, integrity, and compassion for others, it is no surprise that you have won a host of admirers. Thus, with great pleasure, we applaud you as a 1996 Fort Recovery Hall of Fame inductee and extend best wishes for the future. Signed by Senator Richard Finan, President of the Ohio Senate, by myself as your state senator, and I also have a commendation from the Ohio inducted into the Fort Recovery Hall of Fame. To your credit, you have been one of your community's most precious assets, a model citizen whose energy and expertise have helped Fort Recovery to transform challenges into opportunities. With a wealth of vision and vitality, you have shown how very much a diligent, conscientious person can accomplish. You can be proud that your unflagging commitment has inspired many who know you to dedicate themselves similarly. Thus, with great pleasure, we applaud you as a 1996 Fort Recovery Hall of Fame inductee and extend best wishes for the future.
Assembly, we are pleased to congratulate Ted Romer on being named 1996 Port Recovery Citizen of the Year by the Port Recovery Chamber of Commerce. Whether occupying center stage or working conscientiously in the wings, you have always made your influential presence felt. To your credit, you have shown just how much can be accomplished by a highly motivated, industrious person, and you can be proud that your vision and vitality have inspired many who know you to dedicate themselves similarly. Thus, with great pleasure, we applaud you for the character and commitment that have earned you special recognition and extend best wishes for a bright, rewarding future. Again, signed by the President of the Senate and by myself as your state senator, and one from the Ohio House of Representatives, signed by Joanne Davidson, Speaker of the House, and Jim Beakey, your state representative.
Well, unfortunately, Mr. Boehner couldn't be with us this evening, but on behalf of John, I would like to thank everyone for having me tonight and giving me the opportunity to bestow congratulations and best wishes to Ted, Kathy, Burley, and all the other worthy recipients tonight. And so again, on behalf of Congressman Boehner, congratulations and best wishes. Thank you.
Mr. Burke, excuse me. In sincere and deep appreciation of your many past contributions to the Port Recovery community, your willingness to give voluntarily of your time and energy to the Port Recovery Jubilee Committee, your church, and the local Masonic Lodge have helped set a precedent for future generations of Port Recovery citizens to become active in volunteer efforts and continue to make many great improvements in the Port Recovery community. Thank you, sir. Mrs. Stogler, your endless devotion and many acts of kindness through your career and your work with the Scioto Disaster Sorority and the local church in support of the handicapped children of Port Recovery, Mercer County, and beyond are an inspiration and an achievement worthy of naming you as an outstanding citizen of the community of Port Recovery. Mr. Romer, your contributions with the Port Recovery Chamber of Commerce, the Port Recovery Lions, Project Recovery, the Academic Boosters Club, Harvest Jubilee Committee, and many, many other organizations have helped make great improvements in our community and have brought in new life to these organizations. The excellent family values and work ethic learned during your youth and your love of the Port Recovery community are evident in your dedication and commitment to these many volunteer efforts and make you very deserving to become 1996 Citizen of the Year for Port Recovery. Congratulations.
All right, well, just without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn the program over to Karen.
not that cause we're friends, I never would try. But now you're taking that game and the ace of hearts is high. Things are mending now. I see a rainbow blending now. We'll have a happy ending now, taking a chance on love.
Here I slip again, just about to take the trip again. I'm off the cliff again, taking a chance on love.
Now I prove again that I can make my move again. I was a groove against taking a chance on love. Look around in the horseshoe in Clover Eye. Brother rabbit, of course you better kiss your foot goodbye. Things are mending now. I see a rainbow blending now. We'll have a happy ending now, taking a chance, taking a chance, taking a chance on love, taking a chance on love.
Mark, we know that you've all been sitting here a long time. We want to congratulate all the winners of the awards tonight. It's a privilege to live here in Fort Recovery. I always tell people when we go out to other communities a lot. More probably than we do in Fort Recovery. I think maybe, we're about the only game in town, so sometimes people get tired of hearing us, but we go to Minster, New Bremen, Salina, St. Mary's. We've been all over. And when we walk in the door, people that don't know what the entertainment is go, Fort Recovery, right? And I know a lot of groups that change their colors and change their names every year. We don't like to do that. We want to identify with the community where these kids go to school. I think that's kind of a neat thing. So it's kind of hard to find ways to do purple dresses and purple tuxes, but we keep coming up with new ideas. Our last number is called, oh, Don't Get Around Much Anymore.
sophomore, and my parents are John and Brenda.
I'm Phil Mollenkamp, I'm a senior, my parents are John and Devil.
I'm Allison Murray, my parents are Rich and Barb, and I'm a senior. I'm Tracy Kesters, I'm a senior, and my parents are Carl and Kathy.
These kids are a pretty good example of why cloning just ain't such a bad idea. I wish I could and keep some of them. There's a lot of seniorship this year, and 3 of the kids are going off to be music majors. I'm real excited about that and wish them all the best. Look for us, some articles in the paper about the New York trip, and if you can get a chance to get away and see the show April 13th or April 20th, we'd love to have you. There's plenty
Is that top secret?
That's
Just
another thing
curious.
to be said about living in
Just curious. Thank you very much for providing entertainment tonight. I really appreciate that. Just another fine example of how this town of Port Recovery really stands out. I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening. It's been another great evening. I'd like to thank all those members of the chamber that have made my job easy tonight. All the committee members who did the decorating, put the tables together, going to clean up. That's a reminder. I appreciate that. It makes my job very easy. And again, congratulate all the winners. Ted, I can say one thing. You were president last year, following your shoes. You sure made my job very, very easy. And I had a lot of phone calls with Ted this year. I'm not sure if I was co-president, I guess might be a better word this year. Thanks a lot, Ted. Before we let everybody go, too, we'd also like to draw the door prizes. So don't leave quite yet. Dr. Hosbach is going to draw those. The first 5 winners, just go ahead and come forward. You'll be the lucky recipient of
I think so. No?